Wired Unplugged.
Oh, it feels good to be back, Gary.
It feels good to be back, although I'm just going to say before we go in, and I know you're probably going to get a lot of this, we're really not helping the running theory that me and Aaron are the same person, because we're never on the same show at the same time. So,
well, I can't say, for personal reasons, I can't say anything about that, whether I know it or not to be true. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wired Unplugged podcast episode number 32. It's me, mainstay, and definitely not Aaron, Jake Kulkowski, because we've been in the same room before. I'm also not Gary, because we're here together. So how could that happen?
Of course. So we're confirmed that we're not the same person. We know that much.
Yeah, and
we know that much.
People wouldn't just go on the internet and lie, would they?
No, never. No one has ever lied on the internet. That is a fact.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you with me. I was a little bit. I was thinking, Aaron's gone. Does that mean there's not going to be a Wired Unplugged podcast? But no, Gary
never stopped.
Yeah, I'm glad that you've. Yeah, exactly. You've been sort of. You've achieved a promotion. You're no longer the deputy of Wired Propaganda. Not the deputy minister anymore. You're the full-blown
minister.
Yeah, the full-blown minister. Hell yeah. So thank you for joining us. We got some really big gamer news to talk about this week, this month.
It's been a heck of a week. Like it's kind of felt. I don't know about you, right? Like because September was kind of full of events, full of announcements.
Yeah.
And you usually have that like little break in October, right? Where everyone just kind of mellows out a little bit. All of the big game releases hit in November. All of the events have been in September. Everyone just takes a breath and goes, you know what? Let's dress up and enjoy Halloween and just kind of play scary things and chill. And there's been no chill this week, has there? This hasn't. Like October has started with, it's just kept going. Just kept going.
October started on a weekend, and the news just carried on the weekend. Sorry to break the immersion for everybody at home, but we're recording this on the 4th of October, which is a Tuesday, and there's still so much news that we don't know what to do with it. So, I'll tell you what, we'll ease you guys into it with a little bit of internal affairs. Here's the propaganda jingle, and then we'll unleash.
Wired Propaganda.
Lovely crisp tones there.
It doesn't get any less gravelly. In fact, I swear that is getting more gravelly the more I hear it.
That's what I mean. It's really maturing like a fine wine, isn't it? Yeah.
Like eventually, in about a month's time, you're not going to be able to make out any words. It's just going to be.
I'm slowly distorting it every single time just to add a bit of intensity so people don't get.
You should do that for season 2, man. That would be so funny.
I was thinking of making a couple of organ-themed tributes to this for the Halloween episode, which will be inevitably.
That's a good idea.
Inevitably coming. Yeah, I mentioned it to Aaron last week, and
that's such a good idea.
So.
Anyway,
it's a propaganda segment. There's lots to go through this week, to be completely honest, and I'm going to leave it in your capable hands to go weapons free and give us the goods. So what have we got going on?
Fantastic. Well, you know what? We're going to go through them pretty quick because we've got quite a few things on hand, and a few of them haven't happened yet, so they're a bit light on the details. But number one, with a bullet or several bullets in very, very small form, we should probably highlight that the Tiny Troopers Global Ops beta dropped yesterday across 2 platforms in this current moment. So we got the Steam Next Fest, my favorite time of year. Honestly, I adore Steam Next Fest. It's kind of like you get to play all of everyone else's games nice and early, but you also get to share your own awesome time of year to be a gaming fan. We dropped Tiny Troopers Global Ops beta down on Steam. It is also available on the Xbox Insiders group. So if you are signed up to Xbox Insiders, you can download and play it there. And the reason that's important is because as of today, I mean, by now, this will be as of like 3 days ago, but this hasn't even happened yet. So y'all are hearing this way ahead of time. But as of today, in about 4 hours' time, we'll be dropping a brand new trailer confirming that Global Ops is going to be full cross-platform, cross-play between all platforms. So
how it
PC,
should be.
Switch, Steam, Xbox, PlayStation. Doesn't matter where you're playing it. It probably won't work on your Samsung smart fridge. Probably won't work on that. But you know what?
Todd Howard on the phone.
If someone wants to try it, then by all means, we won't stop you. But yeah, that's super exciting news.
That's lovely.
We've been anxiously walking into the office this morning to kind of see what the response has been. Obviously, Tiny Troopers is a little bit of a vintage title for Wired. A couple of releases back in the day. Seeing it in a much more modern form with all the new shiny visuals and all the bells and whistles and kind of what people expect of games in 2022 is super awesome to see. And a few of the Wired crew, community team, I should probably plug this, community team in the form of Steve and Jake and maybe myself, are actually going to be running out and playing in public lobbies across the course of the beta. And if you find them, and if you play with them, and if you take screenshots and share them on the socials, you can win a copy of the game. So keep an eye out for anyone with a Wired tag on their name out doing missions in Tiny Troopers. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's going to be good fun. So that's number one. And it's only for a limited time, remember. Steam Next Fest, once it's gone, it's gone. Then we'll be away. We'll be taking the feedback, tuning it. So, be quick.
If you're listening to this in the past, sorry about that. But if you're listening to this contemporarily, you're a trendsetter, you're a trailblazer. Lucky you. Yeah,
you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it. Rocking straight off the back of that, with eyes towards the end of the week, we are actually having a little bit of a partnership with Special Effect for Friday. Who are doing Special Effect, for those that don't know, super incredible charity that basically focus on accessibility within video games, helping develop systems and hardware and kind of everything around and giving, educationals on how to make games more accessible for everyone, whether they have physical disabilities or any particular thing that might stop people being able to enjoy games to their fullest. There's some wonderful videos out there of people that benefited from Special Effects, and obviously in a charity form, it's something that any funds raised is most definitely worthwhile. They're doing a one special day sale on Steam on Friday, and they're partnering up with a load of people, lots of other publishers.
That's
We're
today,
very proud
if you're listening
to be
to
part
this.
of that. That's today, if you're listening to this. Actually, good point.
Yeah,
listen to this man.
You get used to this guy talking. It's scary at first talking into the future, but then you get used.
He's so used. He's so used to living.
I'm on different. I'm like Doctor Strange, man. I'm on a
Oh.
different timeline than everyone else, right?
That should be your Halloween name. You know how the Simpsons in the Halloween episodes used to do in the credits, their names would all be. That should be you. Is it Jake, Doctor Strange?
I'll take that.
Take that. I like that.
So one special day is
one special day
today. If you're listening live.
Today, if you're listening on Friday, go to Steam. You will be able to get Martha is Dead, or Lumo, or Arcade Paradise, or all three, depending on how generous you're feeling, along with tracks from their soundtrack at a discount. I believe it is 30% discount for both on Lumo, 20% on Martha, and 10% on Arcade. And all of those savings are basically being given to Special Effect in a form that they're going to be able to take all that money from all the sales from everyone that's been included in that sale and given towards making gaming more accessible for everybody, which is, at the end of the day, a hell of a noble goal. Let's go for it, right? At the end of the day, games are for everyone, so make sure everyone can play them.
Absolutely. It's a noble cause, of course. And if you are looking for more information about Special Effect, you can find that out by going on the website. Or if you don't want to leave this podcast ecosystem, you can check out episode 17, which was E3 week, where I spoke to Paige Harvey.
You did.
Community manager for Special Effects, and we learned all about the Special Effects mission from Paige herself. There we go. So if you're interested in go back, it's episode 17 if you want to learn more. They are.
Look at this man, this encyclopedia of unplugged knowledge.
There we go. Wow.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, so there you go. Thank you very much for that information, Gary. So we got some good stuff there. We got a nice bit of sale. So basically, it's a good day if you're listening to this live, or as soon as it goes live. Got some good. We're giving you some stuff here. We're giving you an exclusive little sale and a demo.
Weekend.
Yeah, basically.
Your weekend is set. So pause this right now. It's okay. We'll wait. We'll wait. Pause this. Turn to your machine, whatever you're playing on. Go onto Steam. Buy a couple of games. They're good games, recent games, big hitters. Go download them. Money goes to charity. Go jump onto your Xbox. Go jump onto Steam. Download our demo. Go play with other people. Give us the feedback. Raise money for charity.
This really is propaganda.
It is. It's a great weekend.
This is the propaganda curriculum 2022.
It really is. the final, I should say, piece of propaganda is all based around. You may have probably already covered this. Of course, you have. I watched the episodes. Don't worry. The charity single release that we launched last month in support of Arcade Paradise. Obviously, usually all sales of Arcade Paradise single go to Safe in Our World. Got my charities muddled up there. Go to Safe in Our World when you buy from Bandcamp. Well, this Friday, i.e. today, if you have not already bought the single from Bandcamp, do it today. Not one, because it's a good thing to do, and you're raising money for Safe in Our World, which is a fantastic charity to be, supporting. But two, once a month or once every couple of months, Bandcamp do what they call a Bandcamp Friday, where they don't take their cut from sales for that day, which means every single penny, literally every penny, not us, not Bandcamp, not transaction fees, not one thing is taken from that $3, £3, whatever purchase, all go to Safe in Our World. So make a concerted effort today. Like go buy it. If you've already bought it, look on our socials, share them the heck out, tell everybody about it, tell everyone to go buy it. We're going to be raising way more today than like any other day, just purely because of the lack of taking money from anywhere. So do that.
It's nice that Bandcamp do that, isn't it? To be honest,
it is. It's honestly, like, I know a lot of people. You probably are the same, Jake. You know a lot of creative types. I know lots of musicians and bands. Hell, I was in a fair few when I was younger. Everyone had that "we're gonna make it" phase where that's what we're all gonna do, right? We're all gonna sit here and play Jimmy Eat World songs in the canteen. That was obviously gonna be what got us on the global stage. But those of us that have still carried on and got to the point where they are putting music out there, it's raising money is a hard thing to do in the music space, even when you get yourself on audio streaming platforms and so on and so forth. The earnings are categorically not great, and it's very hard for musicians to kind of get that support out there. So the fact that Bandcamp do occasionally turn off all of the proceed takings and go, you know what, cool, every penny, go nuts, like that's really cool. Well, like so nice that there's actually care about the creators in that way. So
shouts
props to you, Bandcamp. Props to you, Bandcamp.
Shouts out
You're
Bandcamp.
Good people.
Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag thanks for
hashtag not sponsored, but if you want to,
if you want to.
Finally, off the back of that piece, this is going to be very light information because the ink is not yet dry. Details are still formulating, swimming around, but we're very happy to confirm off the back of this kind of musical discussion. Obviously, we partnered up with Limited Run over in the US in order to support our vinyl distribution for our fans overseas. You may have picked up a Lumode soundtrack, you might have picked up a Martha soundtrack, you might have picked up Larissa Moon soundtrack over the years. We're like, what could we do better over here in the EU? How could we do this better? And you've purchased yourself, I believe, and our senior community manager Steve, who is smiling at me through the glass in a way that is.
Shouts out, Steve.
He looks almost like he looks like that Aphex Twin video.
Yeah,
It's kind of what he's doing right now. It's really off-putting. Have used the service quite a lot. Apparently, they are very, very good. Like the name when it comes to vinyl distribution over in the EU of Black Screen Records. So very soon you'll be able to pick up all of our current vinyls as well as a couple of unannounced musics that people might be very excited about very soon from Black Screen Records. Hopefully, by the time this episode goes out, we'll have put out announcements and all the links and all that will be in the description and we'll be able to go, hey, go look at this thing. But if they're not, then guess what? You just know already. And in like a week or two's time, when they exist, you're not going to be sat here going, what the hell's a black screen record at this point? So, there you go. That's a bit of future propaganda for you.
Look at that. Now you're working on T timelines.
Now I'm working in the future.
Who's the real Doctor Strange? Oh my God. That's great news and something. My favorite part about the propaganda segments is when we hear a kernel of an idea. And then over the weeks, it develops and it blossoms, and then we can go, oh, look, the charity single, we were there from the inception.
It's the journey.
Like. Yeah, you've been there with us the whole time, guys. Yeah, exactly. Little twist for you there. So yeah, thank you very much for that pretty hench propaganda segment. I think
Hench
it's
propaganda.
time. The eye of Sauron must turn to the wider news because there's quite a lot to go through. So let's run
I'm ready.
the last jingle of the podcast. So just take a moment, listeners, and drink it in.
News week stole from Google.
Oh, all right. So this is the wider segment where normally Aaron brings to me. I told you this before. Normally, like a barbaric Khan, I sit in my canvas tent with the heads of my enemies surrounding me, adorned by
like
beautiful women and men, surrounded in furs, and I just say, Aaron, news, and he brings me the news, and I just go. But this time it's not. This time I'm having to go out. I'm the hunter gatherer. So you can take the throne today, Gary, and I'll
how the turns have tables.
I know, right? So okay, and I guess
news me, Jake.
All right,
news
well,
me.
I'll start off on a bit of a kind of a solemn note, but there's a ray of positivity in it all, I suppose. And so news we stole from Google is the original name of this segment, and I guess Google is the focal point of this story. Google Stadia is being kind of, I guess, is the word discontinued.
Taken out back.
It's taken out back. It's getting old yellowed. It's getting George and Lenny, man. It's happening. Google.
Show us the rabbits, Google.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me the rabbits.
So Google have announced that Stadia is going to be no more. It will be discontinued on January 2023, but I think how they've handled it is, to be honest, about as good as it could have gone. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is it's about the most amicable breakup that could happen. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
like it wasn't immediately changing the Facebook status to it's complicated. It was immediately like everyone knew where they stood, and that's kind of as much as you can ask for this kind of thing, I guess.
Exactly. So look, let's start with some. I'm not going to read it all because it's very dry and boring. But the long and short of it is, and by the way, when I say dry and boring, I'm just on about their statement at some point just start sending you to the help center. I can't be bothered reading all of that. And listen, the Stadians are a patient bunch, and they put up with a lot of shit. So I'm going to give them, but essentially the sort of timeline of Google Stadia is only like 3 years old, I think. November 2019 it launched, and it was this. For anyone that doesn't know what we're on about, you might have heard us sort of mention Stadia. And actually, why are the firm supporters of Stadia and the Stadians and a lot of
Yeah, let's address just in case there's someone sat there that's just woke up from cryo sleep and they're like, what the hell's a Google? What the hell's a Stadia?
Yeah.
Obviously, cloud-based gaming service. But primary thing was you bought was basically a controller. You could play it on any screen. It was a way for people that were not really core gamers, I would say, like people that didn't have mad hardware or weren't in reliable locations to be able to still play the games. One of my things actually that made me realize just how much of a loss this was going to be was actually a series of tweets from Bungie employees who said that basically like the entire time during lockdown and when people were traveling and stuff like that, like the Stadia version of Destiny was how they basically managed to do a lot of testing and like quick reaction stuff from home, where they were able to just quite literally be like, you know what, I'm literally going and having to travel and do X. Cool, I'll just whip this out, connect it to the nearest screen, and I can get, that is doing that. We can repro that, cool, and put it back. Like on top of just being a good service for gamers, it did have applications for kind of that live service game within the industry that's not going to be a thing anymore, which is a shame. Like that is a loss. That's something that you're not going to be able to rely on anymore. But yeah, they've when you look at it, I mean, what you said 3 years, it definitely feels like it's been longer than that. That's given the track record of cloud gaming services in the past, like that might as well be a lifetime. When you look at the
on
longevity
live
of things, so Stadia for all of the memeing that it did receive, because there are a lot of people, there's always that risk of if you don't physically own your library, at one day it could always go away, and that's something that had been repeatedly stated with Stadia. And unfortunately, in this instance, it was kind of proven right. But that's where we then go on to the breakup point, right? Where they've. Do you want to drop what they've done?
Yeah, well, it's kind of nice actually, to be honest. I think they've been as fair as they can, and in fact, they've been more than fair. They're saying, look, we're shutting the servers down. We're going to refund everything you've ever bought. Like, what the hell? And also, I started fantasizing about, imagine if all my PlayStation purchases got refunded in one lump sum. I'd buy a yacht.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Tomorrow your Steam library got just refunded. Like, what would you do with that £29 million?
Mate, if I got refunded for my my PSN purchases, like there's early, if I got all the way back to like Super Rubber Dub on the PS3 launch, when you were just buying everything on the store because it was there.
Because it was there. Yeah, it was a novelty.
Let's go with this. Like, if I was to get all of that back, God, yeah, we'd be rich. We could retire. We could probably buy Stadia and keep it going.
Exactly. This is the thing. So Stadia, they're also refunding any hardware. So, like, if you bought the Chromecast Ultra or those Stadia controllers, which are decent controllers, it's all being refunded. And so the servers. So the long and short of it is that the servers close January 2023. As of like this second, purchases have been disabled, so you can't spend any more money.
You can't buy anymore.
No, but you can access your.
And I believe you can't subscribe to Pro anymore either.
That's right.
Now there is the small. I mean, you did mention that the breakup was handled as amicably as possible, and I think on the consumer side, most definitely. The one kind of fly on the ointment, which we can touch on because it definitely did impact us, was the day after that this was announced. We were meant to be releasing our latest game into Google Stadia in the form of Arcade Paradise, and it's been not exactly a secret. I know a lot of others were active on socials going, well, this is the first I've heard of this, and we were very much of the same ilk, but we most definitely hadn't had any. We found out at the same time as everyone else that the game that we were putting together in the background to go out tomorrow was all of a sudden going to a platform that wasn't going to exist anymore. Thankfully, the Stadia team, even though the announcement did kind of come out of nowhere, were nothing but professional in the reaction to that. And we kind of spoke to them and said, look, like, it's here, it's ready. Like, can we just, okay, you might be going away, but there's a good 3 months here while people could play Arcade Paradise still, so like, can we still put this out even if you're not accepting subscribers anymore? And they moved the heavens a little bit to get that put out there as like one last hurrah. Which is a shame. I mean, on the one hand, hey, Stadians, go and enjoy the hell out of Arcade Paradise. See exactly how much laundry you can get cleaned in the next 3 months.
Words to live by. To be honest,
words to live by. But no, I mean, we'd found a really nice community in the Stadians. For all people kind of memed on the platform and everything like that. Like, it was a way for other people to play games that ordinarily wouldn't have been able to. And, at the end of the day, I don't think you get to turn around and say that you are a supporter of gamers or gaming culture if you don't make it your solemn duty to use your platform to get your games to as many people as possible. Like that's how it is. And,
exactly.
It was real. The Stadium community reacted really well to us, and we definitely moved a lot to try and get our games on there as quickly as possible after they came out on the big platforms, or the bigger platforms, I should say. And it's going to be a shame. There were other games in the pipeline. Martha's Dead, for example, being one of them. We're still not entirely sure what's happening with that. If I'm being honest, we're in discussions. We might find a way to get something out. It's strange. It's a messy situation, and for as well as they handled it, it definitely does still have a couple of question marks over things. But at the end of this, what I hope is that someone will learn from the lessons, because Stadia did a lot right.
Yeah,
it was just a couple of things that they didn't support correctly that, by the sounds of it, were just a little too much for them to eat. And I want someone to come in and go, okay, we can do that, but with lessons learned and better, and that the kind of people that rely on cloud gaming can once again find some kind of home, whether it's Luna stepping in and picking up in the territories they weren't before.
Amazon's Luna there for those who are
Which again, Luna's got Martha on it now. Like that was. We do still support Luna. It just doesn't appear in as many. I don't think it's in Canada and stuff like that. Like it's still quite restricted in its application. So I mean,
there's potential, isn't there? I think
there's potential, but
anyone who's interested in looking for an alternative, I suppose the sort of competitor services, if you want to call it that, is like Microsoft and Sony both have an equivalent. Sony's like PlayStation Plus cloud streaming service, which is not that well received by fans, to be honest. Microsoft's Xbox cloud gaming is actually this is like a little known thing that people don't really actually realize. But if you've got Xbox Game Pass, you actually have access to this, and like it's actually pretty sweet. Like I didn't know that until I downloaded the Xbox app just so I could install a game on my Xbox on my train home. So by the time I got home,
and then you're like, well, actually, I can play this game on my phone on the way home.
Yeah, so then I ended up playing Slay the Spire or whatever at no extra cost.
Oh, great game!
So I was just like, whoa. So it's great, and especially because Game Pass has got quite a lot of these games that aren't like instantaneous, where maybe a bit of latency might be an issue. So there's also the only other endemic like gaming or whatever. I guess it's not endemic gaming, but it's certainly related to gaming in a lot of ways. Is Nvidia? They have GeForce Now, right? Which is the other one. So there's Luna, Microsoft, Sony, and Nvidia. So streaming is and cloud gaming has been around for 12, 13 years. It's been in conversations. It's Xbox 360 days, but it's crazy. The only thing I'm keeping an eye on, and I'll bring up next week and we'll see what happens with it, is those Stadia controllers I mentioned. They're very, very popular. Yeah. They're about 70 quid, something like that. They've got a really nice hand feel, though. They're really, really good. And actually, the weird thing about it is they've got Bluetooth built into them. Now, Bluetooth is only enabled during the initial setup. After that, Bluetooth is disabled from the controller. And if Google agree to do a firmware update, they can actually re-enable Bluetooth, and they can basically at the moment, this Stadia controller only works with Stadia, is what I'm saying.
Right.
But if they give an update, it can become an agnostic controller that could work.
So it could go outside of that ecosystem, and you could hook it up to any other Bluetooth receiving.
Exactly. Otherwise, it would.
You know what? I would love that to be able to hook up to my Switch or something while it was docked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it has the capability. It just hasn't, because they wanted to make it sort of. But now that Stadia won't exist anymore, there's going to be something like 17 tons of e-waste, of electronic waste, just because they won't do this firmware update. So
I mean, not to say at the end of the day what someone should do. At the end of the day, morals aside, the reality of any situation will always dictate what can be done. But when you think about the amount of general, not to go too eco on this stuff, but just between all of hardware changes and passing fads on stuff, how many Rock Band kits are littering landfills? You know what I mean? How many drum kits are piled up somewhere? If there's a decision that can be made to pull a few 100,000 controllers out of dumps and keep them in people's hands playing stuff, then that would be a cool thing to do. They should do that.
No, that
would be neat.
Yeah, exactly right. There's all sorts of implications. So there's that. So okay, Stadia.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. Stadians.
All right.
Good job.
I'll give you another bit of bittersweet news, but we'll make it fun.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I like fun.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll talk about something sad in a fun way, and that's how it's going to work. All right. So, Beyond Good and Evil 2 has now.
I thought you were going to make this happy.
No, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Okay.
Beyond Good and Evil.
See how you do this. Let's go.
All right. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is officially now the most delayed game ever. Beating the previous record, which was Duke Nukem Forever, which went 5,156 days from its announcement in 1997 to its release in 2011. But Beyond Good and Evil 2 is now 5,234 days since the first Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer was released. So, okay. So that is the sort of the news I want to, because I just want to say new world record, new personal best. And
I'm not sure that's a record that anyone wants, Jake. I'm just putting it out there.
And it is the news, and I thought it would be good.
Okay,
So
that's fair. That's fair.
So I thought it would be a good time to talk. I don't know how I'm going to try and make this fun now. Suddenly I'm realizing. Okay. So
yeah, go on.
So look, right. Let me say this: if this game comes out, it's gonna have to do very well to satisfy anyone at this point, isn't it? Because after so much yearning and waiting, the bar's raised and raised. And there's not many things I don't think that have ever surpassed expectation. Maybe that Blade Runner sequel. Like, other than that, which is, just my personal opinion and the opinions of the critics and audiences. But that Blade Runner sequel, somehow, in my opinion, was like, oh, okay. But, ultimately, that's kind of what happens, isn't it? The more people wait for stuff, the more impatient they get and do. So, Beyond Good and Evil 2, factually, there's a few factors that have gone into this. So there's, Ansel, one of the creators of the game, had to leave the industry, and we're never going to know his original vision for the story and characters. My personal opinion is that the game suffered from what I call scope creep. I didn't invent that term, but I remember the trailers and some of these things. They were saying that they wanted to simulate a whole solar system, like in real time. So anyway, before we touch on that, let's have some fun. Let's talk about some of the games that never happened. Overhyped games that were never released. Woo! But it's because they never happened. I don't think it's too disrespectful. So
there are no victims in this crime.
Yeah,
Jake,
exactly.
2022.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to talk about this because why I'm saying this is this: Beyond Good and Evil 2 has made the news for being delayed because it went very, 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 very early with its big flashy E3 trailer. Ooh, it's completely CGI trailer. Then they suddenly realize, oh shit, people are expecting stuff. It's not like when Bethesda rolled out that blooming Elder Scrolls trailer, and they kind of have everyone by the throat where they can say, you just shut up and wait for Skyrim 2, you little rats.
Yeah. You know what?
And everyone's going to be like,
we know you're going to want it. We know that you are going to buy this. You want it, and it'll take 12 years. Go away.
Exactly. Certain people like GTA 6. They could, when they got hacked, their statement could have just said "fuck off," and everyone would have been like,
all right, fair.
Yeah. So
you know what? I know you kind of covered this, but I just want to, on a personal thing with the GTA 6 leak stuff. There was a lot of people that obviously understand the huge implications between something not just leaking, but at a source level leaking, and how harmful that can be development wise.
Right.
Which is huge. I mean, look at the CD Projekt leaks, like when their source stuff got leaked, and it was a massive thing. And most people were like, "Oh man, yeah, that's a big deal. Like, holy shit, this is going to push GTA 6 back like X amount of time. Like, oh, this is really bad." But it's like this weird little discourse. I'm not calling out anyone in particular, except if this statement makes sense to you. People are like, "Oh yeah, they deserve this for how long it's taken." Like, I saw that, flagging up so often, oh, it's taken you 6 years. They deserve this. All right, well, good job. Now it's going to take them even longer. They didn't deserve,
Do you know what?
I love gamers, but there's this weird subsection of entitlement that exists that sometimes just becomes the very vocal voice.
Yeah,
and it's get down.
Your dad's right, and so
stop that.
I think Beyond Good and Evil 2 at this point is going to be very difficult to pull it off. I'll give you I'll tell you what, Gary. We'll go meta. We'll talk about creator culture. Do you know what was trending this week? Some fucking Minecraft YouTuber did a face reveal.
He did, and but you know what? That is crazy.
Okay,
I'm going to be honest. We're talking about Dream here, right?
We're talking about Dream, exactly.
We're talking about Dream. Okay. Who I genuinely, I'm going to be honest. I'm relatively hip with the kids. I would turn this chair around, but the arms are too big. I'm relatively hip. But I've got no idea what a Dream is. I've got no idea. I couldn't tell you. I'm not a Minecraft player. I've never really got into the watching Minecraft stuff. But the fact that this dude, I did see a lot of news sites and kind of content aggregator sites,
the BBC,
kind of talking about
Sky News,
talking about this, right?
Yeah,
and everyone's going, "Oh my god, like this." Why are you talking about some dude? Because let's be honest, I watched retroactively. I watched it. He looks like a white kid from Florida.
He looks like a kid who plays Minecraft, right?
Yeah. Probably a bit more handsome than myself. Not you, because you're the most beautiful man in this room.
Thanks very, very much. Thank you, man. Appreciate
but
it.
You know what? He looks like an ordinary human being.
Yeah.
I don't know what anyone expected.
Well, this is it. So this is what I'm trying to say, right? This is it. He's an ordinary human being who's shown his face off after years of hype. So what could normally be, hey, nice face, is suddenly, this is the face that I waited for, you know?
But there were so many people that were like, oh my God, like, why are you covering this stuff? Well, why are we talking about the Dream right now? And it's like,
well, it's because
whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Well, good SEO, but like when you look at it, the fact that one dude can sit for like a handful of years making Minecraft videos without showing his face and then become enough of like a hype bubble that him simply going, here's what I look like, can basically break the internet.
Yeah. It was
like, that's bonkers. That's awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I'm just looking now, like over the last day, Forbes, Sky News, BBC News all covered it. It's crazy. Do you know what makes me laugh though, right? So like Dream's like group of friends, they're all Minecraft boys.
Oh, it's just the FaceTiming stuff.
Yeah, so he was FaceTiming like Carl Jacobs and Quackity and stuff. What made me laugh, right? I just wanted to air this. This is a bit of a fucking funny confession. I went to TwitchCon and I was me and me colleagues were in McDonald's in the airport on the way home from TwitchCon, and Carl Jacobs and Quackity were sat there completely by themselves eating a McDonald's, and I was like, they are like some of the biggest influencers in the world. Like literally, the tweet before I tweeted Carl Jacobs was him and Gordon Ramsay together. Then right. This guy's got like.
So wait. So he went and met Gordon Ramsay. And then immediately went to McDonald's after. Does that not seem like that's?
Well, he went to TwitchCon. He did a meet and greet. There was a 4-hour queue to see him, right? So anyway, I took a picture of these like super duper influencer celebrities. Like these are some of the people that are responsible for Among Us blowing up. You know, you heard about this thing when Among Us suddenly caught fire. So I take this picture. I'm like, all right, guys, do you mind if I just get a picture of you? Because you know, it's good for me. It's it's not good for you. You get absolutely nothing. But it would be funny, you know? So then I put a tweet out, but I thought I'd have a little joke. I thought everybody's going to know who Quackity and Carl Jacobs are because they are massive. So I tweeted saying, I was in the airport and I found these 2 lost children and helped them find their mum and dad because they're both like 19. So I was doing that all TwitchCon. I was taking pictures with like the big celebrities and saying stuff like, it was fantastic to hear your story, sweet Anita. You've got a bright future ahead of you and stuff. So I took a picture of these and I said, I found these 2 young boys at the airport and helped them find their mum and dad. Nobody knew that I was joking or knew who they were. And all my replies, I'm sure we can find the tweet, was just, oh, Jake, you're such a nice guy, man. I can't believe it. I've told this story to people since, and they've all gone, oh, I remember that tweet. I just thought that you were being a sound guy. But I thought it was a bit weird that you took a picture with them afterwards. Like, that was... So like, it's just... What I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to make is, it doesn't matter how big these people are, because they're still only in a bubble. So look, and the point is, like, this Dream thing, what we learned from it is, like, honestly, the amount of hype, the amount of... Like, there was a lot of negativity around it, too. So, Beyond Good and Evil has got a lot of hype. It's now the most delayed game ever. How can it, live up to this hype? It simply put can't. So I just wanted to quickly ask you one question.
Yeah, I mean, just touching. I mean, there is also the very real prospect that at a certain point it might free itself from those shackles. Like, there's very much the real possibility that a lot of people, by the time Beyond Good and Evil 2 actually comes to fruition, will have no idea about the original Beyond Good and Evil or its legacy.
They've died of old age.
It'll just be another game, right? Like the people that actually go into it might not have those same expectations because they didn't play the original like 15 years ago, and they're just coming into it and going, "Hey, this game was weird."
There's this game that I occasionally bring up on this podcast called Silent Hill. Yeah. Nobody knows what the hell I'm on about, like, come on. No, but I'm just saying, I'm just saying, yeah. Whenever
just 1 week without Silent Hill is all we ask.
No, I'm just saying. So many people just don't even know what it is, do they? It means nothing to the youth. Anyway, so it's,
but again, you do end up in the opposite, right? Where it could I mean, Beyond Good and Evil's only had one game, and it itself, even though it was critically acclaimed,
Yeah.
it was still more of a niche kind of cult following. Like it wasn't you weren't getting the FIFA Call of Duty guys buying Beyond Good and Evil as well. Yeah, like it was well loved, but by a very select audience.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
Silent Hill, it got enough wave behind it that it had multiple sequels. It got passed around to different studios to do different things.
Yeah,
I'm with you, by the way. Like I was one of the guys that went out and downloaded PT once I realized what it was, and it got taken down. I immediately unhooked that PS4, and I've got it on that system firmware still hidden out the way, because the idea of this being the last Kojima-based Silent Hill anything existing and it being lost to the sands of time was completely beyond me.
If you thought that I was going to not bring up Silent Hill in this podcast, you were mistaken, because I got too much opportunities to bring it up. I am exercising extreme restraint right now.
I'm very proud of you that we made it. How long has it been?
About 14 minutes. No. Since I mentioned it, or since the last game, because I don't want to talk about how long it's been since the last Silent Hill game, because it still scars me. But let me tell you this. This is actually why I wanted to bring it up. I'm going to just tell you that my answer right now is Silent Hills.
Hit me.
But I wanted to ask you, before we move on, just for a little bit of fun morning, Beyond Good and Evil 2, it's probably going to happen, but it might not. But it's definitely being overhyped at this point. Can you remember which game that you saw a tasty trailer for that was overhyped and then never released? So, for example, I just want to remind the folks at home that PT, that Gary refers to, the Silent Hill playable teaser, was a teaser. And when you completed it, your little treat at the end was a trailer for a game that never, ever came out. So that's mine. I don't need to say any more about it.
Mine is an interesting one, because it technically did come out, though not from the studio that originally did it and not anywhere near the original vision. Prey 2.
What? Yes, that is a really good answer. That is a
Prey
really
2.
good answer. That is. Yeah. Because that had that had
the kind of the bounty hunter kind of, everyone was living their Boba Fett sci-fi cowboy fantasies, had a very CGI next gen looking trailer. I think it was Human Head. Was it Human Head that was doing that?
Yeah. It was Human Head. Yeah.
And everyone was like, okay, cool, I'm in. Like the first Prey was a very weird game. It was very much almost Duke Nukem-ish, actually, and it's weird, like alien sex future weird stuff.
It was, yeah, you're right.
Weird game, but it had its fans. And then you see the second one, you're like, okay, they're just basically sticking an IP on the back of this completely unrelated game, and then it never came out.
Yeah, and it won it's by the way, its trailers and stuff won awards.
Because they did look great. They look great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Because it's strange then, because like what you're saying, and by the way, the Prey reimagining whatever was a huge success. Still,
it was great.
Developed by Arcane, who did BioShock and bloody Deathloop and all of that. So it was great. But you're right, that's the one it never was. So if I wasn't to be very typical and boring and say Silent Hill, which of course, do you know which one always hurts me? Because I'm just...
Which one? Hit me.
Fable Legends.
Fable.
Anything to do with Fable is just the saddest story ever. Like it makes me feel so sad and cross. But I sound so bratty about that. But look, Fable Legends, I was really looking forward to a bit of that. I just listen. Can I say something maybe unpopular? But hey, listen.
Give me your Jake hot take. Your hot Jake.
My hot Jake is this. I flipping love Peter Molyneux. Yeah. I flipping love him.
You're a Molyneux guy, aren't you?
I'm a Molyneux head. If I could meet anybody in a games industry, I would meet Peter Molyneux, and that's not even a lie. I love him. I love his little weird cult leader persona, and I love his ideas, and I love that he gets so excited. He's a cute little old man. Just needs a hug.
I love Molyneux's. What I love about Molyneux, and there's a little bit of Thomas Saller about him in that way. It's one of the things I love about Thomas Saller, developer of the Falconeer and upcoming Bulwark, is that he's very much a dreamer. You know what? I'm just going to do this weird thing.
Yeah.
And people are going to balk at me for it, but I'm gonna go do it anyway. And people like Molyneux, Like, I think they're important. Otherwise, that's how you do end up in a world that doesn't have Fable, or a world that doesn't have the Falconeers. These weird people going, no, I know this sounds crazy, but let's just stick with me. We're going to do it. It's going to be cool. The industry needs those. Those are the best type of creatives. So I do love that about Molyneux. I just feel like Molyneux, in the same way that, as much as I love Kojima, he needs an editor to reduce exposition every now and then.
Yeah, exactly.
Molyneux just needs someone to occasionally whip him into, like, okay, yes, but let's actually deliver this.
Yeah, exactly. Because he made a couple of decent games on floppy disks in the early 90s. Like, he did Populous. And
Black and White was great as well.
Listen, honestly, Theme Park and Dungeon Keeper, were like just PC gaming. Basically belongs to Peter Molyneux in my head. So, but then I think the scope changed
as soon as the box opened and you had all of these extra resources and breathing room, overreaching is a very real danger. That he's not the first and wouldn't be the last.
Also, I love that you said as soon as the box opened, and I couldn't tell if that was a very, very clever reference to that Curiosity Cube thing that he did. Can you remember that?
She did.
Yeah.
22 cans. Was it 22 cans?
It's 22 cans. That's his publishing studio. Yeah. So there we go.
In the box.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, I just want to give you one last bit of Peter Molyneux exposition here, because this is acting a bit of a biography for the guy.
Is this the new Silent Hill? Is this your new Silent Hill?
No, I can't. I can't start another hyperfixation. I can't start another hyperfixation. I'll just give you guys a little bit of history, okay? Peter Molyneux. No, Curiosity was this, right? Like, it was like a social experiment. You can't really even call it a game. It was this minimalistic white room. It looked like Kanye West at Glastonbury. You know what I mean? It was just like this thing. Yeah. And there was a giant cube in the middle of it, right? And it was made out of billions, genuinely, cubes. And every time you tapped on one, you dug into each layer. So everybody worked together to tap these little cubes. And there was this whole hoo-ha about what's going to be inside the cube. What's going to happen? There's something that we haven't told everybody about when you play the cube. You know, when you're playing the cube, you're playing something else. You don't even realize you're doing it. You're not just doing things in the cube, but you're doing things elsewhere. You know, it's like Squid Game, but no one dies. And then literally, like Peter Molyneux said, and this is a quote, what is inside the cube is life-changingly amazing by definition.
Yep.
Come on, £1 million? Like what is it? So people finally did it, and what happened was you got inside it, and essentially, as it got closer, he was like, "Guys, can we tone down the enthusiasm, please?"
I said life-changing. I meant like
in a video game.
In a video game.
Yeah. So it turns out that the person who broke the cube or whatever, they were able to become the controversially, it ended up not being as life-changing as he claimed, because it was you got to become the god in their game, which is actually a non-existent and it's, you know, considered a commercial failure. A game called Goddess or Godus or whatever. You got to be the god of this game that everyone else got to play. So anyway, that's Peter Molyneux. Thank you very much. Right, so Beyond Good and Evil 2, most official delayed game ever. What a tangent. Now, let's talk about something.
We went on a roller coaster there.
That was good. Sorry, guys.
That was great.
Yeah, really sorry about that, everybody listening. But hopefully you learned a little something. You got to hear about the Curiosity Cube there and learn my undying love for Peter Molyneux and his weird
Every
nature.
time you say Peter Molyneux's name, he grows stronger. You know this,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say like Voldemort, and they both do have the same haircut. So, right, okay, now look. This is a big news story, and probably the most interesting news story for your regular PC gamer, especially if you are below the age of 25 and don't have a repetitive strain injury. Overwatch 2, well, no, Overwatch 1 is now over. Overwatch 1 is dead.
Overwatch, their watch
Nova
has
Watch.
in fact ended. It's over.
The watch has now
Watch.
ended. The watch has now ended. Yeah, I love that we both appreciated each other's work there. Mutual. Okay, so Overwatch 1, the phenomenon, one of the biggest games, one of the founding, hero shooters. I guess you'd say Team Fortress 2 was, but shut up. Overwatch was a huge success for Blizzard, creators of some of the biggest smash hits in video game history: World of Warcraft, Warcraft 3, fucking StarCraft, anything else with the word craft in it. Not Minecraft, though.
Not Minecraft.
No. But they made this game called Overwatch. Now, look, Gary, I think I'm going to have to wheel you in as an Overwatch expert here. Now, what now? When I say that, you've played it a little more than me. I'm going to tell you something. I played Overwatch 5 times. 5 games of Overwatch. 3 of them were the night before my wedding, where I had to leave my own house because you can't
Why?
see. You can't. No.
Why did you decide the night before your wedding that you
Listen,
like, you know what?
no. So night before my wedding, obviously you have to I can't be in the same house as the bride or whatever. So
Yeah,
I went to my brother and sister's house or whatever. Yeah, my brother-in-law's house and my sister. They're like one of those like really like millennial couples that don't even have a fucking regular TV. So they're like, oh, do you want to put something on the Nvidia Shield? No, I don't. So
I thought you were going to say the Samsung smart fridge. I honestly thought that's where this was going.
Yeah, well, no, I'll ask him about Tiny Troopers.
What if we held hands and played Overwatch on the Samsung
No,
smart fridge?
so I had nothing to do. I couldn't watch me Antiques Road Trip or whatever. So I was just like, right, what am I going to do? I play a bit of Overwatch, and I never played, and they were really into it. So I played 3 games of Overwatch. I played Moira. She's like this woman with 2 orbs. And then I played 2 games on a Nintendo Switch. What a meme that is. I have played 5 games of Overwatch in my life. And however, I know that this game is capable of taking the souls of everyone who plays it. For those who don't know what Overwatch is, it's this team-based multiplayer shooter, what you call a hero shooter, where there's 2 teams of 6 players. Each player is like kind of like a choose your fighter, like a fighting game type. It's a roster of characters who are heroes. They've all got their own unique abilities, and they've kind of got that MMO type role. There's DPS, there's tanks, there's healers. It was a full price game, but it has this huge multiplayer dynamic and these kind of cartoon-esque characters, kind of like League of Legends, where there's backstories for all the characters and things like that. And it became a phenomenon. It was cross-play. It had a lot of loot boxes that for cosmetics, again like League of Legends, and yeah, then it was one of the first major games to have that cross-platform play. Like Tiny Troopers is doing it now.
Yeah.
But it was a very bold move for cross-platform play to happen. And Overwatch was one of the first games to do that. And it was huge, right?
It's very interesting. For me, as someone that played quite a lot of Overwatch, I fell in love with the kind of hero shooter genre. Way back in Team Fortress, way back, enemy territory. Even though that wasn't very much hero, it was more role based. But still, that kind of I was one of the fools that pre-ordered enemy territory Quake Wars back in the day for the very short burn that had. But objective based, role fulfilling. Shooters have had a bit of a strange trajectory. They went from a kind of big macro level role-based. And then you hit Team Fortress, and Team Fortress 2 was very much the one where it was like, okay, cool, let's give them personalities, let's give them characters, let's give them traits, and then kind of make the abilities part of their core kit rather than, they can shoot, but they can also drop a med kit. Let's actually build the entire character kit around the actual role itself. And Overwatch basically, like you say, like it made it huge. It very much mainstreamed it. It spawned an awful lot of Rule 34, which
don't Google that. If you don't know what goes on, just don't Google it.
Don't Google that. But we will definitely lose our Google AdSense if we talk too much on that. Sorry, Matt. But the
shut up, Matt.
Yeah, there's been a handful of other ones that have tried to. God, what I can't even remember that name now. What was the?
I can do it all. Battleborn, Lawbreakers, Gigantic. That one that Amazon did that didn't even get out of launch.
Dude, I fucking paid for the Founders Edition of Lawbreakers. I believe so hard in Lawbreakers, man. Like I was all in on it. And
Lawbreakers, for people who don't know, was a sort of similar game to yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a Cliff Bleszinski, one of the founders of the Epic Games roster.
Arena based from the original Unreal folks doing heroes. I was there, man. I was all for it. I never played out, but basically, Overwatch has stood the test of time. Like spawned a billion different fandoms, a billion different imitations to say that just couldn't quite make that magic formula.
You're right, yeah.
But what's interesting to me is, like you say, it also did an awful lot of things right. Yes, it had loot boxes, but they were all entirely cosmetic. There was nothing that influenced gameplay. Yes, it had semi-battle passes, But for me, what's fascinating about Overwatch, because I very much fell off, round about the time, I believe it was when Doomfist came out. For those of you that know Overwatch, that will put a point in time as to when I stopped playing. I was a Roadhog main. I enjoyed playing tanking, with a little bit of relocating and damage dealing was kind of my bag. But what really interested me for Overwatch was the transition from a full $60 product on all platforms into this free to play economy, where all of a sudden the kind of the player experience of I bought this, okay, I have everyone in the game, goes from that to okay, well I don't need to pay for this, but now I've got to work and jump through hoops to unlock heroes and abilities and roles in a game that is primarily based around the existence of those and the combination of them. And I never, for all my sins, jumped back into Overwatch after it moved into that kind of free to play economy to kind of see exactly what the meta scape of that game became after that point. But it's something that intrigues me an awful lot as someone that does play a game that did that in Destiny 2. And what does a game look like when you release a sequel after that transition has been made?
Right.
By all accounts, there's been Overwatch 2 coming out now.
So this is the big news, and just
big news. Yeah,
stop to just signpost this in one sentence for those who aren't aware of where we're going with all of this.
Yeah.
Day of recording a couple of days ago, by the time you're listening, Overwatch 2 is now launched. So Overwatch 1 is dead, yes, because Overwatch 2 is now
is the thing.
Is free to play and is now out. Now you will have probably, unless you have been, like Gary said earlier, in cryo sleep, you will have seen this conversation online. This is kind of why we haven't contextualized it further since then. But sorry, Gary, back to your point.
No. So, it's for me the first time that I can genuinely think, at least of a game of this magnitude, has gone from a full paid product to a free to play product to then releasing a sequel based on a new model. Right? I can't think of anything that's done that. And
yeah, it's strange.
The general initial first blush reaction hasn't been great on it. There's a lot of people going, cool, I've downloaded Overwatch 2 and I played an awful lot of 1, and I literally cannot play the heroes that I want to play, and they're all locked behind this stuff, and I now have to go and do XXX in order to unlock this, which means that I have to it's strange, and it's something that for me kind of to pull it and give it context out of stuff. I've mentioned a few times I'm a massive Destiny fan, a huge stan of that game and its universe. That they did the same thing, where they moved away from it being a big paid for product into a free to play environment where you just pay for the expansions and the kind of seasonal content. Is there ever going to be a Destiny 3? You would like to think there was, but I mean, they've already set out the roadmap for the next year plus of content for 2.
Yeah.
Can you turn around and go, cool, we're going to release Destiny 3, but it's going to be in a free-to-play form because 2 is free-to-play now and cross-platform and everything. Do you put that barrier back up for a sequel? Or do you make it free-to-play, but at that point, you either need to have a ton of paid content to satisfy all the people that would buy, but that would immediately then cut off all the free-to-play people. Like, it's a very strange thing, and I don't really know what the answer is or what the reaction will be. And I'm probably not going to play Overwatch 2 because I have got my hands are too slow, my DPI is too high on my mouse, and I don't have enough desk space. I will be humbled by the kids. I'm going to stick with Valorant. That's my hero shooter of choice.
Wow, that's a very sweaty one, though.
Yeah, it's sweaty, but it's slower. Like I can deal with one life 5-on-5 in a slow-paced environment, Counter-Strike style. I can deal with that. I can't deal with people teleporting around 1,500 mile an hour as Tracer and then respawning 700 times and feeling like my eyes are melted by the end of a game. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just too old for that stuff.
No, it's tough, isn't it? It's
I'm going to be very interested to see what the general reaction to Overwatch 2 is, both from people that haven't played Overwatch, that just get told, hey, come play this game for free, and it's neat, and the visuals are nice, and it comes from like a story developers and the kind of the people that have been on Overwatch since day one that have invested a lot of time and are having to wrestle with this, getting into Overwatch 2 in its current form. It's going to be interesting. I'm from an academic perspective, I'm fascinated to see how this plays out. But I can't wait.
I'm interested too. Like you're saying, I reckon my opinion on why they probably split it is probably something to do with the fact that, I don't know, Blizzard's just been bought by Microsoft or whatever. Like there's, it could be something like that. And do you know what it is as well? Like a lot of games, like Hearthstone, for example, or like. Whatever, Legends of Runeterra, League of Legends.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to get into Overwatch now because I'm like, the game's been out for 7 years, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's evolving. I'm not getting into it, sorry. But if they go, it's Overwatch 2 now, I'm an idiot. So I'm just going to go, yeah, cool. All right, then. Hey, it's new, it's fresh.
This time next week, you're going to be coming back in as like full-on Overwatch 2, man.
We'll see. I have a funny feeling that I am also like you, too old. Like, I get a headache now when I drink a Monster Energy drink. And do you know what I mean? Like,
you're never going to get higher than CEX, mate. Not with that attitude.
This is what I'm on about. And like, honestly, looking at some of the character art for some of these, they look like they stink of energy drink. And like, that's it. I had I tell you what though, did give me a bit of like, I thought there's life in the old dog yet. I played that Modern Warfare 2 beta recently, and I had a proper good time shooting these kids in the face, thinking, I know that you're really cross at me. No.
Can't say that word context.
No, you can. Sorry, Curtis. Curtis protects me from every bit of harm I could ever face. Right, I've got Curtis is my armor.
32 episodes. We have had a very good run.
No, what I'm saying is, there's a joy knowing that there's when I, an out of touch dad, sat, drinking a cup of tea, still managing to use a sniper rifle to blast some kid who I know is getting so cross at me right now. It's a satisfying feeling. Does that make me a sick freak? Probably. But like,
I must admit there was, I will say, there is a certain joy that comes, and I think it's because we are a little bit older. Like, I most definitely will remember like the lobbies of old were definitely quite toxic, and they were not nice places. And I'm kind of glad that things aren't like that anymore. But there is a little bit of satisfaction around the people that keep trying to bring that. Like when you see young'uns in these video games, in these competitive shooters, turning up and trying to kind of, and be good at a game. By all means, be good at a game. I've got no problem getting my ass handed to me by someone that's put the time in and is just really fucking good at the game. Right. I'm like, all right, power to you. Like you are it.
Yeah.
But it's when people proper try to turn like the sweat and that toxicity up and then just get handily bodied. It is like the most satisfying thing.
It's my favorite thing.
It's my favorite thing. You're like, the old dog still got it. Sit down.
Like, school and
there was anecdotally, I was playing a Valorant. I've been playing a lot of it. I've got like 3 or 4 friends that aren't. They enjoy it, but for 2 of them, it's like the first shooter they've ever played. They just don't do shooters. So it's a little bit mean dragging them into that as their first, but they're enjoying it. They like the characters, they like the visuals, they like the abilities.
Yeah.
They're kind of vibing. But there's an awful lot to say for, they're league players, for example. So they totally get like the abilities and the kind of hero counterpick concept. But the raw gun skill of have you played a mouse and keyboard shooter? Never. It takes a while to build up. When you're an old dog like me that's been doing it since riot shields were a thing in CS 1.5, it's second nature. Nice. But when you're new to it, it's very different. And there's been many times where they'll play and they won't be getting frags, they won't be fragging out, but they're still enjoying it, they're still learning, they're still building up that thing. But people still do get kind of toxic in those. And we had the other day we were playing together, and one, and I don't know much German. I don't know any German, but someone on the opposition team completely in like a 1v1 or a 1v2, I think, with these 2 friends of mine that didn't play. He absolutely outgunned them on like a clutch moment right at the beginning. It was like the second round of the match as well, which is really early to start trash talking. And they typed something in all chat, and it was in German, so I just ignored it. But one of my friends who was German was like, "Oh, they just said I'm just better." And I was like, okay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, so then next round dove in and just aced their entire team. Like just absolutely decimated every single one of them.
Yeah.
As a healer, by the way, as Sage, as a healer, just absolutely bodied their entire team in an eco round, and then just typed exactly what he typed. Even though I didn't know what it meant. I just threw it back.
I'm the captain now.
Like, there's a little bit of that, like a little bit of enjoyment you get from being like, all right, you loud. Let's quiet.
My advice, if you're a terrible gamer, and this is how we'll end this podcast, is try and disassociate entirely from the game and focus just on the usernames of all of your comrades. So, for example, I don't care if I'm killed by somebody. If their name is XX_Predator with a 3XX, I still win. And also, on Call of Duty, because I got in there well early when they had the Activision accounts, my username is just Daddy. So whenever I do anything, people have to say, people love it. They like really lean into it. So I have all of these like 30-year-old guys from the Midlands going, thanks, Daddy. So I can't lose when I'm playing these games anymore. So that's my advice to you. Just change your username, get a little bit of a refresh, call yourself something that will make you feel like the world doesn't matter anymore. And on top of that, when you do lose, just look at their username. And if it's crap, you're the real winner. On that note, I'd like to say a big thanks, Gary. Thanks for joining us on episode 32.
This ended on a note I was not expecting, but you know what?
I'm here to delight and amuse. Thank you very, very much, Gary. I might see you next week. Have a really nice week, everybody. It's spooky season now. Make sure that you're wrapping up warm. If you're decorating your house, please show me the cool decorations, and I will shout you out on this podcast. It's not related to gaming, but that's okay. It's at Wired Unplugged, and you can just send me a picture of, like, you know, even if you're being a real strong pumpkin spice latte drinking Starbucks fan, that's fine too. Other drink brands are available. I want to see it all. Thank you very, very, very much for joining us, and we will see you next week for more news. Gary, you've been a pleasure. Goodbye, everybody. Woo!
Bye, everyone.
Wired Unplugged.